Hi everyone, we are back on Context TV. I've got the great pleasure to have Brenda PENNELL, who is an investment manager from CORDAID, an investment company based in Netherlands. And we are here in Happy Mali to promote the investment in Mali. You have just made a trip to Mali a couple of days now. And we want to ask you what's your feedback and what do you expect according to the governance when you want to qualify a great deal flow to invest in? Brenda.
Good governance is very, very important to us. As you said, we're based in the Netherlands, and that means that we can't be in Mali with our investees to make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to be doing, and making use of our investment capital as they have promised. So one of the safeguards that we put in place is requiring, often as a conditions precedent for disbursement of our support, good governance structure, and that could include good board representation and highly qualified and very experienced and skilled senior managers who will also do our background checks on. And we will also want to be confident that the management and the governance will grow with the company. So a company that we invest in may not need a board at the time of our investment, but we would expect that the company would grow, and maybe within 2 or 3 years it would need a board to help manage the growth and oversee the operations. And we would want a plan for implementing that board structure to be present, even if the board structure itself wasn't at the time that we dispersed.
We spoke about on the panel discussion about confidence, trust. Trust is very important between investors and the entrepreneur. What about the trust between the entrepreneur and his team? How do you make your due diligence according to the human resource aspect? Because it's a key human resource.
That's a really interesting question. So we can do paper-based checks. We can make sure that the employees have contracts, and we would expect the labour conditions to be compliant with European standards, which we can be confident in. So for example, one Malian company that we hope to invest in very soon is audited by BSCI every year. So that gives us a real insight into the labour and working conditions of the employees, which should then give us confidence in the relationship that they have with the entrepreneur. And also, when we visit the company, and visiting the company and getting to know the entrepreneur is an essential part of our due diligence, we can see for ourselves how the entrepreneur relates with their employees. And through our discussions with other members of the management team, for example, we will pick up on how they talk about their relationship with the entrepreneur.
Green finance is not a trend for you. It's something that you embedded in your core activity. When you spoke about green finance, it's not only about environment, but it's also about society impact and inclusive impact or societal impact. How do you cope with this aspect? Because you don't want, I noticed, to invest in any kind of activities. You are focused on a very, very qualified project in this field, and you want, of course, as an investor, to make good track record. But how do you embed the green finance aspect in your deal flow process?
Well, you might call it ethical screening. That's always the first part of our investment analysis process. The fund that I manage, the Stability Impact Fund Africa, is a fund that is intended to support growing SMEs who, through their growth, will create jobs for women and youth in particular, and through their growth will also support the sustainable economic development of the country, in this case Mali. And if we can identify companies like that, then we can apply exclusions. As we've discussed, we don't support the extractives industry, and we have certain exclusions like palm oil is something that we wouldn't invest in. And when we're also looking at an enterprise, we expect there to be some sort of environmental, social and governance framework, and we use IFC, International Finance Corporation, benchmarks as a benchmark that we would also apply to the enterprise itself. But we also try to remain pragmatic, and for us the overriding importance is sustainable economic development for the country and creation of jobs for women and youth. So there may be some aspects of a company's business model that may score less highly on certain elements of an environmental scorecard. But if the trade-off is greater food security and significant job creation, then we would balance those two considerations and make a pragmatic decision. So, for an example, we are looking at a big farming project in Democratic Republic of Congo, and there are very, very few commercial farms in Democratic Republic of Congo, and DRC imports a lot of the staple crops that its population rely on for their day-to-day food needs. But the government has earmarked a lot of land for agricultural use, but at the moment it's not developed. So it is effectively virgin jungle. So in order to convert that to agricultural land, there has to be land clearance. So we would look very carefully at how the land is being cleared, what the implications were for the people who had been living on the land, whether they've been properly compensated, and what the agricultural practices would be going forward. If it's large scale, then obviously that implies a certain amount of industrialization in the food production process, so that involves use of chemicals. So we would have to make a really detailed assessment of that, and then balance that against the job creation, the impact of food security, and the promotion of the economic development of the country, because it is no longer having to import so much foodstuff, and make an investment decision based on that. So it's not black and white, but it's a shade of green.
Thank you very much, Brenda, for sharing your investment philosophy, and good luck to invest more in Africa, which is a great country, in particular in Mali. See you next on FinTech TV. Bye.